This is my Coleman stove, and I bought this 5 or 6 years ago at a thrift store, and it had a $9.99 price on it, but they were having a sale on that particular color tag and all that, and I think I ended up paying like $5 or $6 for it. But it's a 2-burner stove, and the model number on it is 413G, and I looked it up, and these were manufactured from 1965, I think, to 69. It's been in our attic forever, and I uncovered it when we were digging out Christmas decorations this year, and I never have used this stove. I think I just bought it and put it up, but I need to go through and clean it up and put it back in working order if it's not already. Before you start working on something like this, if you've never done it, is to take photographs of everything you take apart so that you'll know how it goes back together. To make the cleanup of this a lot easier, I'm going to go ahead and remove the whole entire burner assembly and the plate that it sits on. And there's 4 screws. There's 2 on this end right here and right here. And then there's 2 on this side here and here are basically the same location. And then there's a screw right here, and this whole assembly should come out. I'm just going to place my screws in a little Ziploc baggie for right now. With this piece removed, I'm just going to take the case and set it to the side for right now. Now that I've got this burner base cleaned up, I'm going to take some vegetable oil and just put a thin coat all the way around it. I took off my burner spacers in the order that they were on the burner, and I'm going to clean them up upside down so that when I put them back on the burner, they'll be in the correct order. And I'm also going to add a thin coat of oil to these as well. I'm also going to add a thin coat of vegetable oil to these as well as I assemble them. So there is one burner cleaned up, and I'm just going to do the same thing on the other one. With my burners off, it reveals access to the second burner control, which is held in place by a little C-clip down in here. With the C-clip removed, all you have to do is unscrew the burner control. With everything disassembled, I can now remove the burner tubes from the plate, and there's just 2 nuts on the back side of this plate that remove the whole thing. With everything disassembled, all I got to do now is clean everything up with a Scotch-Brite pad. With the stove disassembled and cleaned, it's time to move on to the tank, and this tank has a manufacturer tab of 266, which means it was manufactured in February of 1966. The needle in this valve has some rust on it, so I'm going to go over with a Scotch-Brite pad. The spring's a little bit rusted, and the stem itself is a little bit rusted, so I'm going to have to clean all these up. The pickup tube for the valve has a little bit of oxidation on it, so I should be able to clean it up with a Scotch-Brite pad. Let's see what this pump valve looks like. The gaskets in the pump valve look like they're in pretty good shape. I now have everything cleaned and lubricated, both on the tank and the stove itself. When I went to clean this tank, as you can see, I didn't clean it all that great. 1, because I didn't want to clean the age off of it, and 2, just using regular old household cleaner, it took some of the paint off right here, so I didn't want to take the original paint off of it, so I left it as is. And now I'm ready to start putting it all back together. Just a little side note, when you go to pump these up, see this little hole right here? On the upstroke, you want to leave it unobstructed, then cover it with your finger. So the tank is back in working order. Here's my burner assembly, and I gave it a coat of stove black just kind of as a rust preventative measure. And I'm going to assemble this outside of the case, then mount it to the base plate, and then install the whole thing into the case as an assembly. Now the fun part is putting this little clip on. The burner that has the fat spacer with the 4 notches goes on the secondary burner side. With that assembled, it's now time to mount it to the base. I cleaned the base plate up and it had some rust spots on it, so I went ahead and gave it just a thin coat of aluminum spray paint. Now I'm ready to put it back in the case. So there it is, cleaned up, a little bit of paint, and ready for testing. Okay, I've got my Coleman stove set up, ready to pump it up and light it up, see how it does. I've got both burners open, and the fuel that I'm burning is just regular old unleaded gasoline because I'm not going to pay $12 for a gallon of Coleman fuel. And my test media is just going to be a cup of water. I'm going to see how long it takes to boil it. I know ordinarily you do this with just one burner, but I want both burners open to make sure that this is a good test, make sure everything's working right. My cup of water's been on there about 5 minutes. It's got a really good boil to it. So I'm going to consider this a successful rebuild of this 1966 Coleman stove. So I got my Coleman stove back in working order after it's been hiding out in the attic for about 6 years. And in doing so, it kind of reminded me of back when I was a kid and my dad would take me camping and all that, and we would cook over a Coleman stove and things of that nature. These Coleman stoves have been in manufacture, I think, since the 40s, maybe even before. And there is a reason why that they've been in production for so long, is because they do last, and they are an excellent grid down piece of equipment. So anyway, that's my take on redoing the Coleman 2-burner stove. So thank y'all for watching. We'll see y'all next time.